Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about moon race. So let's dive right into it. Now first we have to understand Cold War specifically because moon is kind of far and many times people don't get it. It's like why the heck U.S.S.R. who did a lot of first is not considered as a winner, even though like they were like a first man in the space, first woman in the space, first dog in the space, and a lot of first things. The reality is this is Earth and they were barely above it. Barely. Now, to give you a context how far moon is, moon requires light second to as a measuring unit, meaning at closest is still more than around 1.2 light second. At furthest is almost like a 1.4 light second. So this is a far out unit, meaning going into low Earth orbit is one thing. Going into lunar orbit, that's a whole different level. Given the fact that you can actually land on it, actually collect sample from it, come back safely, do all that, that's on a whole different level. That's why moon mission is such a high level of achievement, and that's why like U.S.S.A. is considered to be a winner. Now it is expensive, very ludicrously expensive, because whenever somebody talks about lunar missions, people are like, oh, if they could have done it 1969, why didn't they go back? But his deal is like, think of it this way, let's say something cost X amount of money. What happens if you did X divided by 3? Nothing. You can't do the same thing again and again. Then that's the same thing here. This is the easiest way to explain to people why the heck we did not went to the moon. Not we, as in like USA did not went to moon again, because at the time of creation they were getting like a more than 1%. Once they realized Soviet Union was really moving ahead, they're like, okay, unlock the gates, and tada, 4.5%, upwards of 4.5% of payments. That's a lot of money funneled into one agency, and that's from a whole national GDP. So that's some GG amounts of money at that point in time, and it was also a matter of national pride. So every Tom, Dick and Harry who can chip in, they were chipping in. I'm talking about private companies putting their best foot forward. Every university that could support, they did support. So it was a whole national level effort and GG amounts of money. Then what happened? If Apollo 13 would not have happened, that incident it had, people would have lost interest. It was not even being broadcast. Apollo 13 became another reason why it was broadcasted. After that, people lost interest. Money went down, and money went how down it went. It went from 4.5% to 0.5% right now. That's that's the huge difference right now. That's why we cannot go back to the moon. That's the one thing. So whenever you have war kind of scenario, money is no object. But here's the deal: every country's treasury has an upper limit. And to give you a context, USSR was doing many things that were wrong, and fundamentally they were gonna go bankrupt no matter what. Like it may be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, but it was like, dude, that's not how economics works. You're gonna crash. And basically the space program, they tried to compete with USA, and that bankrupted them faster. So that was a very serious expenditure that people had to do. The moment the money stopped flowing, the project ended. As simple as that. There is nothing fancy about it. Nothing is like, it was faked and all that. It's just like they could have done that. It's like if this puppy remained at even, let's say, at 4%, they could have sustained the Apollo missions. But it was not. Like the money cut down to 0.4%, 0.45%. So that's the one thing that ended the project. That's the one thing you have to understand. Cold War was an actual war. Money was flowing in like there is no tomorrow. Now, what changed? Well, let's take an example of early 2020s. New player have entered the market basically at this point in time. So race is now heating up again. USA have already achieved it. It cannot be dethroned from that point of time, because like, yeah, every Tom, Dick and Harry is like, you barely have anything and I have actually landed on the moon. So that's one thing. They will never be dethroned from that. But at this point in time, they want to retain that crown to a point where it's like, people try to do it again and then also I beat them. That's the second crown they want to achieve. And new players at this point in time in nation states, meaning China is one very serious contender. India is also trying to become a next space player, and European Union does have the benefit of being GG in terms of bank balance, but they never had the drive, the will to actually, they should be become ahead to everybody else, simply because they have boatload of technology, boatload of money. They just don't have the political drive, because it's like, oh, I'm not gonna make a French rocket that's gonna carry my Italian astronauts on top of a German built spacecraft. It's like, what? Basically, that's the political is the reason why they never have achieved so far. However, recent bitch slaps they got from NASA and Russia taught them that like they have to be self-sufficient, because it's really not a good thing to say in European Union. It's like, hey, do you want to be an astronaut? Go to America, get a citizenship there. It's much like it's far more easier for you to become actual astronaut in USA than it is to be in European Union, while you are paying boatload of tax for that. So they're also taking it seriously. And then we have private players like literally came out of nowhere, and now they are like a serious contender, where it's like, I got this. So you have the granddaddy SpaceX, which is like really going granddaddy, and then you have Rocket Labs also. Rocket Labs have actually successfully achieved orbit, have successfully achieved high cadence, and successfully developing their next generation rocket. They are also becoming a very important player. So market is there are new big players and a lot of few private players also. So this is very intense and real. So let's understand China, simply because that is the most likely contender that can actually reach moon. The reason for that is basically political will. Now, China is run very differently compared to, well, all democratic places, but China has this one image problem where nobody takes the name of China as like a good thing. It's like, when you say German, even no matter what they did in the past, is people say German engineering. Like that's like, like even India has a very good reputation in terms of hardworking people. It's like, because all the immigrants who went away from India to every place, like I personally know people. I can pick up my phone and it's like one dude is in Australia, one dude is in Canada, one is in America, one is in Europe. You get that point. So they worked their ass off and they created a reputation. Indians are hardworking. Now China does not have that kind of reputation. So China's name is not taken with solid things. So they want to do something that truly puts basically bitch slap to every Tom, Dick and Harry else. So the moon mission is one of those things. Like there are 200 countries, very few countries have a manned space program, only 3 to be practical, and only one of them has successfully achieved moon mission. So being on that playing field is a god tier flex. So yes, as a nation point, you really want to do that, because you really don't want to live in a country where it's like all your brightest people, all they are doing is like leaving the country. That's not sustainable. Ask Indians how, we know. So that's one thing. They have that political will where from a practical point of view, it is something they should do. Then we come to cash, because they do not have to worry about overheads of elections and all that jazz. They're like YOLO amount of money, just go YOLO on it. They have the luxury of cranking the GDP up as USA did during the wartime of Cold War. So they have the cash to actually do it. That's the one thing you have to understand. And their space program is actually making good progress. It is surprisingly new, but they have slowly, brick by brick, day by day, they are making some good achievements. And again, it's rather easy to progress if you do not have to worry about falling rocket stages on your own goddamn people. But China and their R&D department has also figured out basically SpaceX way is like instead of developing newer rockets, they are like, we have this old rocket, it works, everything is finalized about this. How about rather than making one bigger rocket, we just take the core of that fully working rocket and just Falcon Heavy other two of them. So that's what they are doing to expedite R&D. So that's why I'm very serious about this when I say they can actually do it. And another aspect is, while China is one of the country that has actual human flight, they don't have that kind of experience. Whereas like they're good, but not that good. Now, who is that good? Russia. Russia never lost their space program. Basically, from the era of Soviet Union till now, they have successfully maintained a manned presence in space. So they know how to train astronauts. That department, they're like, we got this. We got this. That's one of those things that we got this. So they are also joining forces with China. So that gives them a serious amount of boost, where it's like that memorandum of understanding that was signed between them is significant. It's not something like, oh, who cares? No, it is significant. So they have a very high chance of actual man on moon by 2030s. Now again, they're not claiming 2024, 2025, that's not happening, but 2030 they can actually do it. And because of the backbone support that they have, like country supporting it and having a very good amount of GDP, they can actually create a base. While other people, if they try to do it, rush do it, they will be like, Tink, come back. But they want to go there, lay a foundation. And you can see that even in their memorandum of understanding, every aspect of this was how the heck we monetize this. And it makes sense, because the primary reason we did not went back is money. If you can sort that out from day one, from every aspect of your mission, is like, what is the use of this? Like, we've developed this rocket, is there any other use of that? Okay, awesome. That we have, let's say for example, very high capability geostationary satellite can be launched from super heavy lifts rocket. Awesome. They are sorting out the money department from day one. That's awesome. They can really do it. I'm not joking around. They can actually do it. Now we come to the granddaddy, SpaceX. Now SpaceX is running on a speed that almost matches the speed of brand new NASA. So their speed is got it. Now be very mindful. Their speed is very ahead of schedule, but be mindful whenever Elon speaks anything, just take his timeline. If he says 4 years, take his timeline, add 4 to it, and then you'll have that actual timeline. Elon timeline is like almost half of what it will actually take. So Elon timeline, just multiply it to itself and you will get the final product. So, but even with that, they are still super duper fast. Okay, compared to modern NASA, what they are doing is like a whole different level. Basically, this was a sketch This was a sketch. By the time other people will have like finalized blueprint, they have actual physical metal prototypes they are building, developing, testing. And if they were operating like any other space agency, they would have just stuck with this, and they just launched into the orbit, and they would have reached there. Only difference is SpaceX knows better. They know for a fact that whatever you built, whenever you build something of Mark 1, is garbage. When you do Mark 2, it's less garbage. Mark 3, now we are talking. Mark 4, now we are serious about this, like Iron Man. And you can easily find that. Like, that's why the Raptor 1 engine was amazing. But what's the first thing they do? Throw it away. Mark 2. And what's the first thing they do about Mark 2? Okay, how the heck we can make it even better? Mark 3. So you get the point. They are ludicrously high speed, and they have grand aim. Now, this is one of the things very important for children. Simply because, think of this way. Let's say which nation you want to reside on. A nation that says, we're gonna reach to orbit. Or a nation, we're gonna go to the goddamn Mars. That's a different kind of project. And think of this way, like, smart people do not think like poor people like me. Smart people who are like actually capable, actually competent, they do not worry about like, oh, how I'm gonna get my food in my belly. They're different kind of people. They are like, how can I utilize myself to the best of my ability? Meaning they need a challenge. They need a challenge where it's like, I can really apply some of my horsepower. So in those sort of scenario, having grand aim is really important, meaning it inherently attracts people who are like, what? I really want to do some hard challenges. Oh, you wanted to land on Mars? Sign me in. That's awesome. And they have best money efficiency at this point in time in sector, meaning there is no other space agency that can claim they can come even close to this. So that gives them that advantage that they have sorted the money part out. And their biggest gamble right now is Starlink. If this puppy works, which, mind you, this is a completely new design, from design to actual deployment, meaning public can buy parts for it and actually utilize this service. It's surprisingly quick. And if they can crack all other issues that they are sorting out right now, this will make them so much money that they will be self-sufficient for their grand aim. Meaning NASA at that point in time will be only people who are signing basically rights. Basically at that point in time, it's like, you can use this frequency, FAA can give you the license and all that. Other than that, nothing else. It's like the money part, they will be like, dude, we got this. That solves their money issue. Because yes, many times people will like, oh, why you are doing in space, like, we want to be miserable on Earth. I'm like, dude, you need to show people dreams. If people do not see dream, they go cuckoo. People do not want to go cuckoo. That's why people want to invest. But again, what if majority of your population is like, we have a lot of problem on Earth. It's like, even though 99% of US GDP is not able to do anything, that 0.45% we really want that. So again, you can't do anything if elections are the key deciding factor. But if you are privately funded and you have your self-funding, nobody can say anything about it. So that's why that self-funding is also important. And they have great head start. Yes, it is true, every Tom, Dick and Harry wants to go to the moon, but nobody has the head start of this puppy. Like, this actually landed. They have sorted the computer algorithms. That matters. They are already at Mark 2 of that engine. That matters. They are like already building basically the rocket stand they built. That was fastest stand ever built in basically history of rocketry, and cheapest also. It's like SLS stand that was like commissioned years ago, still not finished. So to give you the context, like, they are on a whole different level. Other people cannot even catch up. On top of that, they also have a blessing of NASA. What does that mean? That simply means NASA does have experience. Anybody else who actually knows how to have like a giant space program, who knows how to have like giant basically a whole college worth of people going through something and making a astronaut training wings, they know. They have that experience, and that experience going to SpaceX as a training aid, that's awesome. So that's all. NASA is basically NASA to SpaceX is same thing what Russia is to China. It's really, really important. So that extra love, like, so I got your knowledge department. You take care of the money, you take care of the hardware, we take care of the knowledge department. That's priceless. So, and that is the primary reason why USA is not that scared about like China is gonna beat us into second time into the moon. It's like they know for a fact that even if this puppy is late, let's say 1 or 2 years behind schedule compared to China, when this is gonna land, one of this landing would be like, dude, we got it. We're done. We directly landed that much. And then they're gonna land second, third, fourth. Yeah, you're done. Go home. Sweet dreams. So why we are focusing on moon rather than Mars? Well, the reality is right now winner will be decided a bit differently. So it's no longer like Cold War era. It's like go back and dhappa it and come back. It has to be designed by physical viability, meaning can you financially support it? That's the whole thing. At the end of the day, that's the one thing that matters. If you cannot financially support it, forget about Mars. That's the one thing that we have to understand. And I really like the TV show Expanse. Whenever you see the Expanse, like it shows like a timeline. Basically, timeline is Earth is there, global warming destroys it, then people like rise up, solve that problem, then they go to moon. Moon is colonized, then they go to Mars. So moon is the second step that we have to do. and it is the best training ground for humanity because it's far but not too far. What does that mean? That simply means if we actually established a completely self-sufficient colony here, it will be safe from almost everything from Earth. Let's say, what is the worst thing that I can see happening anytime soon? Let's say supermassive volcano, it goes achoo, whole biosphere done. Moon, got this, moon is safe. Let's say asteroid, knocks out the whole basically planet's biosphere, moon would be safe. So it is far, but it's not too far that it's like, reaching it's gonna take 2 years or requires a ludicrously large rocket with ludicrously either refueling, and like, it can be done very quickly. So that basically not too far simply means you can do to mission to it inside 1 week. Go collect people, come back to Earth. That can be done inside a week. That matters a lot. And because they are far enough where in situ utilization makes sense. It's, if it was too close, people would be like, yeah, just ferry objects there, rather than it's far enough where it's like, 1 or 2 missions would be expensive enough where there would be incentive. Hey, figure out how to use regolith itself. So it's really good. And unless we can crack this puppy, Mars is flat out impossible. Because if we cannot grow here, grow on moon. What does growing on moon simply mean? Meaning, without feeding raw materials from Earth, they should be able to expand. Meaning, let's say we created 10,000 people's worth of living space. That 10,000 people, utilizing all the materials, all the resources available on moon, should be able to expand that puppy to 20,000 on their own without requiring, like, starships to carry supplies. If they can crack that part, only then we can go to Mars. And like, long term wise, short term wise it does not matter. Short term we can do it right now, but long term wise, where it's like, rather than going there and just coming back and laying a foundation there, it's like, no, this is a humanity 2.0 that requires we to crack moon. Moon has to be self-sufficient. Moon has to teach us everything, because in situ utilization we have not done yet. Like right now we do not know how do you repair spacesuit. Like that's one of the things that nobody knows. It's like, how do you repair spacesuit? It's like right now we're just like, yeah, lol. But think of this, like that's another aspect of expanse. Spacesuits require repair. Micrometeorites could happen, damage could happen. Like let's say you are using spacesuit on Mars, and in 2 years something bad happens. What the hell you gonna do? Right now our current method is just give them backup. That's not good enough. So that's why moon is very good training ground for humanity. If we really crack it from the financial side to another actual training side, then we can actually truly dream of Mars. Without that, we are just lolling around. So this was my presentation on moon race that's going on right now. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please like that button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.